Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. There's a lot going on in here. They're even talking, if you can believe this, Meghan wants to repair her relationship with Catherine for no other reason than to help her public image in the UK. Why does that not surprise me? There's so much going on. Let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Anne on Wednesday. She made her first visit to the British Racing School in a decade. She spent time with the Injured Jockeys Fund at Peter O'Sullivan House before getting the opportunity to meet students on the BRS Foundation course and school children participating in the Newmarket Pony Academy. She last visited in 2015, and she also saw and spoke with children from a local primary school who were riding as part of the Newmarket Pony Academy project, which gives access to horses for children 8 to 14. Sticking with Princess Anne, she made an appearance at the Retail Trust's Leland Estate, marking 70 years since it was opened by Queen Elizabeth in 1955. One of the people that she met there was a 101-year-old retired department store worker. So it is specifically for retired retail workers, and Princess Anne was there because it was marking its 70th anniversary. So she met residents and staff and unveiled a gorgeous plaque commemorating the visit. All right, let's move on. King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived in Rome to start this absolutely historic state visit to the Vatican. They're going to be meeting Pope Leo in what's being reported, a symbolic display of unity between the Church of England and the Catholic Church. Now, a stronger relationship between the two Christian denominations, they're saying, is important against those that are promoting conflict, division, and tyranny. That came directly from the king. The king landed at the airport Wednesday evening. He will be the first British monarch to pray with a pope since the Reformation in the 16th century. Now, as Supreme Governor of the Church of England and a long-standing campaigner for building bridges between faiths, this visit is going to be really super important personally to the king. Cardinal Vincent Nichols, Archbishop of Westminster, will be at the Vatican for the state visit. And he said the king and the pope have different approaches, but would absolutely find common ground. That Pope Leo was, quote, very attentive. He absorbs exactly what people are saying, and he can be very direct in expressing his own mind. And King Charles is probably a little bit more subtle in the way he talks. But he offered a spiritual thought when asking about current problems facing the royal family. He said, I have no doubt at all that family difficulties will be at the heart of both the Pope and the King as they place themselves before God and ask for grace and strength to live through all the difficulties that we all have in life. So this meeting is taking place on Thursday in the Sistine Chapel. I myself have seen this chapel. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's going to take place under the famous ceiling painted by Michelangelo. There'll be a service bringing together Catholic and Anglican clergy and the royal and Vatican choirs. Then the king and the pope will pray together, which again is the first time it's happened since the Church of England split off from Catholicism in the 16th century. Now, there's another unusual moment as prayer is considered personal and private, and by convention, monarchs are not usually filmed when they're deep in their own prayers, but they're putting this aside for a public display of togetherness. Next up, and sticking with the king, in case you don't know, he has been crowned one of the 50 most stylish people alive in 2025 by British GQ. That he goes right up there with Justin Bieber and Ralph Lauren. He looks fabulous. Next up, according to the court circular, Keir Starmer had a meeting with the king at Buckingham Palace on the 21st, but that could have been about the trip to Rome. That could have been about Andy. We don't know what that was about. And that meeting took place right before the reception that the king hosted at St. James Palace, also on October 21st. On the eve of the Western Balkans Leaders Summit, also known as the Berlin Process in London. And yes, Sir Keir Starmer was in attendance. Next up, the Tatler did an article on the Duchess of Gloucester, where she's being hailed as being the unsung hero of the royal family because she works tirelessly without drama or controversy to represent the crown. She's done extensive charity work. She has been a full-time working royal for over 50 years. And with King Charles and Princess Catherine undergoing cancer treatments, she and her husband stepped up and took on a greater share of public-facing events to help support Queen Camilla. She is known for being graceful, discreet, hardworking, love it. She doesn't seek public attention. She doesn't court controversy. She is the patron of over 60 charities and organizations, and her quiet devotion was formally recognized in 2024 when King Charles appointed her a Royal Lady Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter. And finally, she has frequently represented the crown abroad, including the recent trip to Bermuda, where she was praised for her gracious engagement. Exactly. Now, I want to throw this in here again about David Beckham. In June, Country Life magazine invited him to edit the October 22nd, 2025 issue of their magazine, and it just came out. Now, very interesting. You see the B right next to his name in the middle there? Well, initially when you go on the website, they've got this electronic bee buzzing around all over the front of it. It's so funny. So they were very excited that he did this. This is right after the king, who's edited the magazine twice, and the queen, who's edited it once before. And inside, he goes through this whole thing about why the countryside means so much to him and his family. He shows Alan Titchmark around his Cotswold garden. He whips up his favorite recipe with Tom Parker bowls in the kitchen there, and all kinds of interesting things. Now, this newspaper is available at newsagents and supermarkets only in the UK, unfortunately, so I can't get a copy of it. But knowing David Beckham, I'm sure it was very interesting, full of all kinds of wonderful things. The guy is really a good cook. You know, we come to find out that he's now keeping bees because of his son Cruz, who told him he should. It just looks fabulous. All right, let's move on. Prince William, he has gotten Matthew McConaughey to add his star power to the countdown to the annual Earthshot Prize Awards in Rio de Janeiro by narrating a trailer for the awards evening, which sees an Australian pop sensation, Kylie Minogue, I believe is how you say it, and singer Shawn Mendes join Prince William on the night of the 5th. Let's move on now to Prince Andrew. A new law has been proposed to the House of Commons that would give King Charles the power to strip Andrew of his dukedom. So he could either strip the titles at the request of the person who holds the title, or on his own initiative, or following a recommendation of a joint committee of parliament. I think that's a good idea. Well, they're still talking about the Royal Lodge. You guys, he has paid rent, but what he did was, instead of paying an annual rent, he made a large lump payment up front, which included renovations. That was the deal that was made. It was under his deal with the Crown Estate, a document seen by BBC, and they confirmed that those are the terms. I mean, these articles, like here's one that said he hasn't paid water. But that's not true. It's not that he has avoided paying water bills, but his lease agreement allows him to pay for them from time to time. Now, that detail is making people angry because of the rising utility costs for most Britons. But that's what's in the lease. You know, guys, I saw this on GB News, and I'm really taking it in because what they're saying is, it's not that people have sympathy for him, but when the pile-on is this intense, it's coming from every angle. It's coming from the United States. It's coming from Parliament. It's coming from his family. People are worried about Prince Andrew's mental health. It's declining. That's a lot for one human being to take. So there's a lot going on, and nobody's saying that he's innocent, and nobody's saying that, he shouldn't be punished. But this pile-on has gotten so bad, people are really concerned about his mental health. Now, I want to say one other thing. Don't shoot the messenger, people. But, Andrew wanted to go into court, and it was the Queen who said no because it was killing her platinum jubilee. And so she said, no, we need to settle this. We need to get rid of this because it's killing my platinum jubilee. And so that's what happened. And now this book has come out. It is being reported that they have found 50, that's 50 verified lies that Virginia Giuffre told in her book so far. So this is terrible. And let me say one more thing before we get back to the news. Several people have been like, you're shaming Virginia Giuffre. I'm not shaming Virginia Giuffre. I feel terrible for anybody who's ever been trafficked. But I have a big thing about people who lie. This is not a 17-year-old girl that was lying. This was a married mother of multiple children who was lying and who told a lie right up until a few weeks before her death, claiming she was dying in the hospital, which also turned out to be a lie. That's all I'm saying, people. Once you perjure yourself, it kind of irks me a little bit. Now, articles are coming out now that Andrew met 2 alleged Chinese spies during a single trip to promote his pitch at the Palace Initiative. That's why they're saying that he's a security risk. All right, next up, several people told me that Andrew was now off the website. He is not off the website, but they have him listed as Prince Andrew. However, in the line of succession, he's still listed as Andrew, Duke of York. Who's running that website? Now, in the meantime, reports are coming out saying that Andrew is going to be asked to give evidence on his links to Jeffrey Epstein. But so far, there is no confirmed summons. There's no indication that that's going to happen. But they're saying that these new revelations that have come out have intensified calls for his testimony and accountability. A senior member of the U.S. House Oversight Committee, his name is Stephen Lynch, told the BBC that the committee would, quote, be extremely interested in hearing from Prince Andrew, close quote, as it's reviewing documents from the Epstein case. So when he was asked whether they would issue the invitation, this guy goes, oh yeah, we will, I'm sure. And Ann Farmer, one of Epstein's accusers, separately stated that if Andrew wants to do the right thing, he should share whatever information he has. Now, as far as going back to the lodge goes, it's being reported that William and Catherine are absolutely determined to banish Andrew and Sarah from Windsor Royal Lodge. Apparently, it's very close to the new house that they're moving into, but they also claim that William and Catherine can't abide him and they want him to disappear. That having him there in Windsor threatens to spoil life at their new home, Forest Lodge, that they're moving into with the 3 kids next month. Now, in the meantime, what about Beatrice and Eugenie? Well, it would appear with all of this stuff going on, they're going to continue to be princesses with all the trappings that royal blood brings. That doesn't mean that the girls are escaping from the fallout. What's being said is that the 2 of them should try to define themselves outside the scandals, which have created reputational risks and public scrutiny issues for the 2 of them. We know that they come from a close-knit family, but they need to carve out separate roles, separate from their disgraced parents. And I want to thank this Twitter user for pointing this out to me. It is true, Eugenie rejected Catherine and befriended Meghan. As a matter of fact, this video showed up. I'd completely forgotten about this. This was like one of the first Christmases Catherine spent with the royal family. I don't know if this is before or after the wedding, but Eugenie went by and literally knocked her out of the way. I mean, she turned her back on Catherine in favor of a social climbing hussy, essentially, who wanted to get rich quick and destroy the very monarchy that funds her. Get it? All right, it's time to move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. I told you before that mainstream media watches the YouTubers and then gets their stories. Didn't I tell you that Meghan put up that ridiculous post on her As Ever going, fry an egg, put it on the crepe, but she misspelled the word? So, of course, mainstream media jumped all over this and the fact that she can't spell. Listen, remember, she's supposed to be all about attention to detail. You could have fooled me. I don't think she's putting in any effort. All right, next up, remember, Harry and Meghan opened up a chat room called the Parents Network. Now they've blended it with the Parents Together action. So really, they have nothing else to do with it. Well, we know that Harry and Meghan will attach themselves to anything that they can. And so when you have people with big names, economists and artists and evangelical Christian leaders and people like Steve Bannon, and they're calling for a ban on AI, of course, Harry and Meghan are going to attach themselves to the wagon. Unbelievable. They have signed an open letter. They demand a ban on AI superintelligence. They wrote this letter, and it directly targets technology giants, including Google, which I find shocking, OpenAI, and Meta, which are developing forms of artificial intelligence intended to exceed human capabilities across multiple functions. Harry declared, "The future of AI should serve humanity, not replace it. And I believe the true test of progress will not be how fast we move, but how wisely we steer. There is no second chance." And of course, guess how they signed it? Losers. All right, this is kind of interesting, actually. Robert Hardman said that he thinks that the reason Andrew and Harry were cut so much slack by the late Queen was because she always held the greatest sympathy for the awkward position of those who grow up in the shadow of the future monarch. And in other words, her father. She watched Princess Margaret's melancholy and her struggle to find a, quote, true role in life. And that also shaped the Queen's sensitivity to the difficulties of being a spare. So you have her father, you have Margaret, and then you have Andrew, who can't work out what he's for. Now, if you can believe this, the podcast co-host said, "I have no sympathy for Andrew, but if Harry were to return to royal duties, he would be greeted with real enthusiasm." Okay, well, that just shows she's out of touch. And finally, you guys, I'm shocked. We all have heard the rumors that Meghan Markle is going to return to the UK before Christmas. It's just a matter of finalizing the timing. But she's also nervous about the trip. She's desperate to get the UK to like her again, and she wants to get ahead of the narrative. And she knows getting Catherine on board would be a massive help. So if the public sees that she's making a genuine effort to heal old wounds, and they think Catherine will accept her back, then the public will soften their feelings towards her. Sorry, that is a lost cause as far as I can tell. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.